All right, so banging out some cardio in my garage gym. You'll have to forgive the mess. It's gonna get even messier than this, I guarantee it, because we're planning a big move here in about 5 months. And so we're gonna be selling off as much stuff as we can. But if you have a garage, it is impossible to stay on top of how organized this place is day to day, even week to week, let alone moving. So long story short, this is probably the messiest garage gym I've ever had. But this is gonna be the studio for the next couple months. So a little bit about this channel. I just wanted to take a second to introduce myself because honestly, I haven't been consistent making content for years. My name is Blake Bernard. I'm 33 years old. I'm married. I have 3 beautiful children. We just actually adopted our 3rd earlier this year. And each of our kids is about 3 years apart as well. I'm a gym owner. I actually own multiple gyms and have grown them to $1 million. And honestly, I find that high performers all share this one thing, tend to share multiple interests. I think in my heart, before the day, I'll end up being more of like a serial entrepreneur because there's so many things that pull my attention span. And I'm so ADHD by heart. I go all in on multiple things all the time. But I would say the 3 parts of my life that I've put the most time and energy, not just monthly, not just weekly, but daily into developing are my walk with God, my relationship with my family, and my business, my leadership ability. And the leadership over your business, that seeps into leadership over your family and all that as well. So there's a lot of overlap. And what's funny is what kept me from making this channel for so long was not knowing which one to pick. I've been in business for 6 years now. And my facilities, I've got one 4,000 square foot facility that trains all athletes. I've got a smaller studio, about 2,700 square feet, that trains all adults over 40 plus. They do small group, personal training. It's not like big box or CrossFit or anything like that. It's not an access gym. We coach. And any given time of the year, the adult program has a way bigger capacity, but the athletes, we have 100 to 150 athletes year round. And what's interesting about training athletes early on was when you're just starting out, you don't have the luxury of choosing one sport to roll with because you need the money, right? You don't really have the numbers or the influence over or the presence in any certain area. Beggars can't be choosers, I'll just say that. And so you have to train them all. And I lamented that early on because everyone's saying, you gotta niche down, become a specialist in one thing. Never more apparent than in sports training. Develop one sport, become the baseball guy, become the volleyball guy, become the football guy. And we got so good at training all of them and delivering a specialized experience in the small group setting that I ended up throwing that advice out the door years ago. But that desire to still have a need still reigns or still kind of lingers in the back of my head. And not only that, when your priorities are Jesus, family, and business, and you feel highly qualified to speak on each of those, it's really hard to separate. Then I got this revelation earlier this year, and in my quiet time I was reading, and the Lord goes, but what's the foundation of all of them? I said, well, you are, obviously. And he goes, I'll make it about that. So, throwing out all the head trash, throwing out all of the stuff that needs to get cleaned out, the people preaching, the algorithm will find your niche and all that stuff. We're gonna make it really hard on the algorithm. I'm just gonna put it that way. But if you don't already know where this channel's headed, I'll put it to you bluntly. I wanna show up for my family and I wanna show up for God, but He's the foundation of all of it. So we're gonna talk about training because I think that's super important. A lot of dudes, they become entrepreneurs and their priorities change. Their business sucks the life out of them. They get too busy to take care of themselves anymore. And it impacts their ability to show up at work, to show up for their wife, to show up for their kids, to show up for themselves. Next thing, you got blood panels that suck. They're pre-diabetic, weaker than they ever have been, having to say no to things they really want to do because they feel insecure, whatever, that they can't actually do them. Oh, see, I got stuff falling on me. It's so dirty in here. We're going to talk about fitness through this lens. $1 million business owner that loves the Lord. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm learning in real time and what I've learned that's taken me out of that. We're also going to talk about family because that's such a big part of my life. There are so many lessons that I wish that I would have known, that someone would have told me when I was 9 years ago, when I had my first child, and I didn't have a dad that was like just dying to pour wisdom into me. I didn't have a mom that was trying to raise me up in fatherhood or anything like that. Now it's funny, a decade later, all my best friends are over 70 years old. It's funny. Well, if I don't get that from my family, I'm gonna go find it, right? So I went and found that mentorship. But for those of you that might not have that, or you wanna hopefully avoid the pitfalls of other people, because I think that's a telltale sign of true wisdom, I wanna talk about those things. And then finally, we're gonna talk about business. Uh-oh, my camera just shifted. We're gonna talk about business. We're gonna fix this thing. Lastly, we're gonna talk about business. Over the next 5 years, we will be scaling to 5+ locations, and they'll be beyond state lines. So this is gonna stretch me and my leadership ability, my communication ability, and all that to the extreme. Because if I think it's hard at times, 2 facilities in the same town, how much more is it going to be managing, holding accountable my team and facilitating growth across the nation. But this is something that the Lord's been preparing me for a long time, and I'm so excited about it. I want you guys, I want to include you in that journey as we build those next couple gyms, so that you're going to see the behind the scenes, the day-to-day, what the Lord's doing to rewire and regenerate my heart around His purposes, but then how those purposes end up seeing fruition through the gyms. I think this is going to be really cool to document. And man, if not having a niche, talking about all these weird things through Jesus, if that doesn't end up growing an audience or anything like that, that's totally fine. My kids will end up watching this one day, and hopefully it can help them build their own operations and help them understand their dad better. So I think it's a win. I think the enemy just got in a long time ago and started planting seeds of doubt, and I'm an overthinker, so that's something I have to die to daily, is just overthinking. Guys, I want you to know that none of this stuff matters. Only what you do for God matters. And so at the end of the day, I don't believe that we have to go overseas and be a missionary to build the kingdom. You just seek Him first right here where you're at, and that will, by osmosis, affect everybody in your workplace, affect your family, affect, of course, you personally, your coworkers, your teachers. And so I just want to bring glory to God and make sure that, He's getting the credit for everything that's happening. So even selfishly, I think this channel will help me lower myself, and submit to the King of Kings and Lord of Lords every single day when my pride is like, Blake, just muscle through it. Blake, just, look at what the work of your hands did. Look at the name you're making for yourself. I wanted this first video to give the Lord the glory. This isn't like an afterthought and a post-game interview. Like, this is my life. This stuff's real. It's very real to me. The heavens and the earth are going to pass away, but Jesus came so that we would be regenerated today, like right now. I got like more minutes on the treadmill. I wanted to talk about, there was going to be a lot of lifting. That's the only alone time that I have. Let's talk about my plan. So, about 2 years ago, we're coming up on, it's actually 2 years this month. I ruptured my left patellar tendon, and it was silly. I was so embarrassed about it. I told a bunch of people I was doing whatever. It was actually the story was a lot more lame than that. This is my opportunity to tell the public and confess. I was training in my backyard, and I didn't want to admit it because I'm coached thousands of people. So if I get hurt, what does that mean, right? I was doing broad jumps on a muddy day in my backyard where the grass hadn't quite dried out from the early morning. I ended up landing this broad jump, and the ground gave out underneath my knee. That thing popped. I actually thought I broke my femur because the impact, like the shock wave it sent through my body, was so powerful. I was like, whoa. And understand that at the time I was probably like 260. Again, you're like, dude, doing broad jumps? I was a college athlete, and I still try to train like one. I want to keep up with the kids at my gym. But I was 31 at the time I blew out my knee. So long story short, that thing went. I had to get ambulance to the ER. Couldn't ambulate my leg at all. That thing was just dead. I had a hard one because it tore right across the middle like a sheet of paper. And those are tough because rather than tearing it from the insertion point, there's no place to like clean reattachment site, if that makes sense. If the tendon's intact and just kind of off like the end, it's a lot easier to repair than something right across the middle. So I am just now, I believe, at the tail end of a 2-year recovery from that. I'm just now getting into running, just now getting back into jumping. And my strength's not where it was, just to give you guys an idea. And I don't say this, no one cares how much I bench. No one freaking cares how much I squat. But my idea of fitness before was kind of a holdover from my college football days. I was always one of the strongest dudes on the team. I played outside linebacker, defensive end, fullback. Those guys are usually pretty heavily muscled. I just kind of thought that as a dad, I was like, hey, I'm fit and I'm better than everybody, basically. If I can just continue squatting 500, deadlifting 500, and benching 300 at will, if I can do that any time of the year without any prep, I'm good. So that's kind of more of like a powerlifting thing, right? Pretty dumb. Probably that and being heavier resulted in the patellar injury. So anyways, tore my knee, bedridden for 3 months. I was in bed so much that I had long hair at the time, and it started dreading behind me. That's how much time I spent on my back. Couldn't move, was getting sponge baths. Even once I got out of the wheelchair and out of the bed, I still couldn't jump on the trampoline with my kids, couldn't run around and play with them. I couldn't do any of that stuff, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. What good is your fitness if you're unable to use it? What good is your body if you're unable to use it? What good is working out if it doesn't contribute to you being available for your kids? I changed my goals kind of since I've been getting back into it. I'm just a couple things that have really changed. I don't really know. Donnie Thompson is a good friend of mine. He got my mind chewing on this years ago. One of the times I visited him, where we have to really divorce ourselves from the barbell, understanding that it's a arbitrary tool to standardize a sport. It was created for powerlifting, not for your body. If I'm not a powerlifter, then I shouldn't be using it. Okay. Another thing is I do way more unilateral training now, because even going back to my football days, before I any of the accreditations or trained thousands of people or anything like that, I just knew intuitively that when I single leg squatted and deadlifted, my body felt better. Should have listened to it. So I do a lot more of that. I do a lot of isometric stuff for connective tissues. I do a ton more cardio, and that's a really big deal to me. Because ultimately, one of the contributing factors to me blowing out my knee was being out of shape and not recovering super well. So to handle all of that, right now I'm about 250, and I want to be down to about 220, 225-ish. I also want to get down to being sub 10% body fat. I've been there before, but I was like 22, 23. But I've been 230, 8% body fat before. I want to see how I can do it again, easier without losing my mind. Because right now I'm walking around about 14% body fat. I can't really see my abs, if I'm being honest. I'm 6'2", 250. I'd love to get down to that 220, 225 range again and just feel limber and healthy and all that. So this will be the journey for all of that. This is going to be really the start of that. Again, if I don't get an audience out of this, at least I will have shown up. That's really big to me. At least I will have been consistent. At least I will have signed up to do something daily that I absolutely hate doing. Okay? I got lots of responsibilities. I got multiple businesses I'm running, all that stuff. But I'm gonna commit to chronicle this journey. It'll just be the captain's log, all right? So that you can see exactly what I'm doing to fix myself, right? Exactly what I'm doing to depend on the Lord more. Exactly what I'm doing to show up for my family better. Exactly what I'm doing, because guys, I obsess about all these areas. Genuinely obsessive, ADHD personality. Who knows, you might pick up something that helps. So anyways, we're coming up on the end of those 10 minutes. That'll naturally keep this video a little bit more brief, but I'm really excited about this until I get down to 225. So that means I got 25 pounds to lose, and I'm gonna do it while maintaining a very, very high percentage of muscle mass. To do this from, gym owner, but since that injury, it's been so hard to get back on track. We're gonna document what I'm doing to keep things fresh. Guys, I've been training for 2 decades, so I have to be excited to work out. And how about in the next video, we'll go over the plan and exactly how I'm gonna do that. Execution is a different story, but we're gonna talk about what I'm doing to actually impact those goals. We'll talk then.